Hey, it's me. I'm back. Barely. And this is going to be a slightly different style of video than I ordinarily do. I was having difficulty, you know, um, with a couple of things, with looking at the chart and just telling you what's happening, which was fine. But um, I became leery of that and emphasizing particular transits when a lot depends on your own chart and your own particulars and all of that sort of stuff. And it's difficult to say that this is what's going to be happening when I don't know who you are and what's happening to you. And that's kind of more relevant than anything else. I've been watching a lot of other astrologers on YouTube and elsewhere and studying and just sort of, it becomes somewhat meaningless for me to for anyone to describe this is the energy, this is what's happening, because if it's not in particularly applicable to you, I don't know what it necessarily means. So it just stopped resonating with me to do that. And before before that, I was doing tarot readings online. In videos, and I sort of started to feel that was a bit silly as well, because I was like, who am I reading for? Who am I talking to? And so I was in a quandary of multiple things, including the chaos of my own life and the chaos of the world around me and you and us all together. We're all in this chaos pit, this gladiatorial chaos pit together, having to fight our way for survival through this world that seems to have nothing but disdain for ordinary human beings. So I've been in this place trying to figure myself out and how I'm going to just simply exist in this world, when it is a challenge to do so, and what is it that I'm even attempting to accomplish at the moment? What good can I do for this world? So when I've been watching this other channel, it comes up every now and again, and it seems to always hit me at the right exact time. It's called SALT, SALT, period. And she gives readings. She reads for very particular people, and it has always come to me at the right exact moment. And whatever peculiar cosmic algorithmic magic is occurring that motivates this interaction towards me at any given moment, it seems to work. And so I thought, well, let's do that, because I still want to be of some service to people. I would like to help people through their lives, and because I need it, and I know that other people do as well. And I have been doing more readings in person for people, and it is always fruitful. It's a fruitful experience for the both of us, I believe. I gain my experience and I gain my insight and I gain more data, and that person seems to walk away with a shift in their mindset. So here we go. This video is for anyone who is resonating at that Virgo energy right now, and we have passed through Virgo season. That was back in August, and we are now in the Scorpio season, which is a very different feeling of intensity and transformation. This is the period where we are going into beginning our preparations for winter and hibernation in earnest, because winter is approaching very swiftly. And even though here where I am, you can hardly notice the shift in things, but that annual circadian rhythm that comes into our unconscious awareness causes this shift for us to transform completely from our summer selves into that winter selves. Virgo marking the beginning of that shift into preparations from the grand sunny abundance that is summer. We come to the Virgo season in August, and that is the preparation for harvest. And Virgo represents all of that, all of that necessity of ensuring that all of our gears in working order, preparing for the harvest, that we have everything we need to be ready for it, that we are thinking ahead and looking at all the little details that might give us life and death information about our survival over the winter. That is the process of Virgo. And this video is for people who are resonating at that energy still, even though we are now deep into Scorpio season. We've gone through Libra season, which is about taking that Virgo energy and distributing it, putting it into practice, putting it into aesthetic value, putting it into balance and harmony so that we're not overwhelmed. If we're constantly in this Virgo energy all the time, there's a reason why Libra precedes it. If we're in this energy all the time, it creates a form of neurosis, a kind of OCD, where everything has to be in its precise order and precise place, and we don't live in a world where that is a functional aspiration, because this is an entropic universe. It is chaos. Entropy will win out in the end. It is the ultimate victor of existence. You can only do so much to mitigate. And so the Libra energy that precedes Virgo is about balancing out the nervous system and recalibrating to remember that even in chaos there is beauty, that harmony emerges from the contrast of noise, that what am I trying to say? That you need an essential balance to all of that. To every tight grip you must let go. You can't hold on forever to the need for control that Virgo often can get lost inside of. And Virgo is also about health and finding the medicinal needs of supplying the self, the physical body. And Libra is about taking all of that energy and giving it a little bit of chill, a little bit of relaxation. Take it a little bit easy. Like there is a season for everything. Turn. And now we move into the Scorpio age, period. The Scorpio period. And this is about taking everything, all the karmic lessons that we've gone through, and reintegrating them in that emotional sense. Taking the totality of things, feeling it inside of ourselves, and allowing it to pursue the depth, allowing the waters of our emotions to pursue the depth that they gravitate towards, and to find a space where they can transform us in that. This is why Scorpio now in the modern context is ruled by Pluto, because it is transformative. It is innately transformative. When you go on the quest, the scorpionic quest, whether you find the object of your desire or not, you come back transformed. It is the quest itself. It's the Scorpio is the quest for the Holy Grail, the cup that contains the vessel of the soul, the emotion of human of the human being itself, the thing that defines us. It's the quest for the Holy Grail, and whether you come back with the Grail or not, the quest transforms you. And we now quest into the depth, beginning into the depth of fall and into winter, where we will be transformed by the trials of the shift in climate that happens and the resonant shift in climate that happens within ourselves in the winter. We shift our perspective, we shift who we are, we shift a little bit, we change as the weather grows cold. We too change our disposition. People become seasonally depressed during this time. We are more prone to melancholy and review. We don't go out as much. We don't do as much. We are much more internal. It is a retrograde, a psychological retrograde, where we begin a process of review of things that have occurred in our past life. It comes to a culmination as the new year approaches, and everyone begins this process of reviewing the year in its context now that it's all over and we can look back at it. So this is you. This is your moment right now. The South Node is there in Virgo, and you're feeling. I think we're all feeling a little bit of like a critical analysis of where we are and what we need to be doing, and in particular at this moment, to those that I'm speaking to, I think there's a lot in this. There's a sudden feeling for you, in particular, as a person that I'm speaking to, that there has been, not just on the global stage, but on your own, in the canvas of your own mind, in the LED screen of your own perspective, there is a sudden bloom of chaos that's come into your life, and it's thrown you. You've certainly felt this way. And it has put a cloud around you, and you're starting to feel this nebulous. You may have even moved into a point where you've become somewhat inured to the existence of this chaos, even though it has put you at an edge and you are living in this state. But it's become normal, and the feeling that's in your body, your nervous system reaction to the chaos that you're feeling in your life has become, it's gotten to the point now that the feeling is no longer conscious, and it's simply in your body, and it's starting to integrate into your depths as we enter this scorpionic period. And the danger for you now is to confuse what has happened and what you are experiencing and your natural reaction to that as an aspect fundamentally of yourself. And we are attempting in this message to convey some awareness into you, so that you can find that space, find the energy that is rippling through your body that was previously in this state of chaos not so long ago, as the energy shifted in your life to this chaotic state, and recall what that was. Recall the point at which this chaos took its shape, and remember it, because you're falling into this state now where is becoming normalized for your body to feel this way, and it doesn't have to, which is conversely somewhat contradictory to the other aspect of this energy that I am picking up on at the moment. which is that what you experienced as a fluctuation from order to chaos in your life, sudden burst of chaos, sudden burst of disruption that occurred. It may be difficult for you to pinpoint because it is not necessarily an event, an external event. It was an internal event. It occurred as a disruption in the deep unconscious. It's a bit like this metaphor I am getting of the ocean. I have my little astrology cards that I made. But I'm getting very much a sense of this deep oceanic feel. And imagine that you are at the bottom of the ocean. You're at the bottom of the ocean. And there's a stillness, a quiet, and a peace. And all of a sudden, there's dust and detritus in the air. All of a sudden, there's this dust and detritus suspended in the water around you. And you can see that. You can see this chaos. And it is clouding your view of the world around you. It's enveloping you. But what you don't was difficult for you to sense, because you were in some ways a part of it, was this wave of energy that moved, that pulsed through this deep oceanic field, which is your unconscious. It's as though you had an earthquake suddenly burst through you. Some kind of disruption occurred inside the sphere of the unconscious. A revelation, a realization, a new integration of something that you have been working on for a long time and may not have even realized you were working on it. But the unconscious is always doing its work, whether the conscious mind is aware of it or not. But now I get the sense that this is coming forth. This is the sun, and this is the Fool reversed. And the Fool reversed is coming into awareness now of that which is unseen, and the sun is illuminating these patterns, because Venus here is trying to make a mechanism, is trying to make a harmonic mechanism between, or an understanding, in a sense, between the conscious and the unconscious. So you have to use that Virgoic discernment that is very prevalent in your mind at the moment, and comb through these past month, 2 months perhaps, and identify the shift that has come through for you. And what I get here is that you have shifted your perspective. Your understanding of the world has shifted dramatically. An event occurred that changed entirely the way you see things. And you can't unsee it anymore. One day, you woke up and the colors had shifted. You could see things that you'd never seen before. You understood people in a way you didn't understand before, and this was unsettling. Because it's not necessarily pleasant to see beyond the distortions that are implanted in us. We are given at birth, throughout our childhood and adulthood, we are given to certain delusions and distortions of the mind that make it more palatable to live in this world. Is that the raw reality of this material existence is very uncomfortable, very difficult, very challenging, and particularly for moral people, empathetic people who are striving not necessarily to gain, to accumulate material value, but to live good lives that fulfill us, that make us feel as though we are good people, essentially. And in order to do that requires certain distortions of the mind to exist in this place. Because once you get into pulling at the thread of the moral fabric of modern society, the whole hair shirt can come undone completely and fall apart, and you become very much like the Buddhist monk who sweeps his steps ahead of him so that he doesn't step on an insect and cause harm. And the reality is that unless we are able to go to that depth in our morality, like the Buddhist monk who meditates and sweeps and eats only what he can grow or beg for, unless you're able to go to that depth, there is some level of moral compromise involved in life. If you're using a phone, you know that the rare earth minerals from that phone and all the technology around you has been mined at some moral expense. Everything you do and acquire and perpetuate in this world comes at some moral expense, and it's a challenge to sit with. And when you come to these moments of awareness of all of this, it often occurs as a flash and then settles back down because we can't sit with it for too long. Some level of suppression has to reoccur, but you've come to this recently, a flashpoint in the mind where you had some realization, and I do get the sense it may not be necessarily about the moral fabric of our society, but something equally revelatory in its moment, and then sudden suppression has occurred to you in the past few months. And though you choked it down like medicine and forgot about it, the shift that happened is still being processed in your unconscious. And only now that you see this dust around you, now that you see the chaos and the havoc that you're feeling in your body intensely, and you're perceiving it now, you're externalizing it, you're projecting it outward. Because you can't see the unconscious, you can't get to it. You can't get to its depth, the unconscious here. You cannot consciously get to its depth. It's too vast, and the consciousness is designed, and it is evolved for a very pointed purpose, which is not to plumb its own the depths of the psyche. The conscious mind is not meant to look into its own into the unconscious. Those are two contradictory notions. The unconscious, its primary function really is to look at the outside world and look for threats, to evaluate threats to this mechanism of our existence, our being, the body, mind, spirit organism. The conscious, the egoic aspect is put forward in order to evaluate threat in life and to react to it so that it preserves the body and mind and spirit. The unconscious is doing a whole lot more than that. A vastly, exponentially greater amount of computation is occurring in the unconscious versus the conscious mind. But this is the part that we are aware of. And we have no tools of communication with the unconscious mind. It's a bit like the separation between right and left brain. How they both communicate in very different ways. There's a non-linear brain and a very linear brain. One that communicates in language and one that communicates in image and sound and movement. And the two don't really fully understand one another. In fact, when in surgery, an experiment, when you separate key parts of the two hemispheres of the brain, they stop communicating entirely. It might as well be two entirely different brains. People can become two entirely different people. And this separation is there, bridged by a very small amount of connectivity between the two of them. So your link to the unconscious is very, very narrow, very limited. And what we really have to do in order to understand what is transpiring in that deep space of the psyche is to understand the way we are projecting those emotions, those instincts and feelings from the deep unconscious out into the conscious world. And I say out, but that's inaccurate. What's really happening is we are gaining sensory information from our external experience of the world. That sensory experience is entering the mind for processing, and the mind is processing it in the context of all the other information that it's already possessed of, which includes the state of the unconscious, the emotional state of the unconscious. And so everything, all of our sense input becomes colored by the state of our unconscious feeling. And this is why we cannot objectively see reality. We simply cannot objectively see reality. We cannot objectively see ourselves. We cannot objectively see each other. There is always some level of distortion and delusion inherent in our experience of the world. That comes from our own psyche. And our job as part of the spiritual practice, as part of our psychological wellness, is to discern, is to use our Virgo capacity of discernment to look at our delusions, which is what Neptune represents. Neptune is the deep unconscious, in a certain sense. It is the delusion and the grand dreams of our mind, projected outward often. And we have to be using that Virgo energy that we're sitting in still to examine what is it about our experience, our daily experience of the world, that is becoming integrated into our nervous system. What is it that is not so much an aspect of reality, but really an aspect of ourselves? And we can look at this and integrate it so that we can identify the processes that are happening in that deep unconscious. Because there's a revelation there that has occurred to you. It's a revelation. And you've been a little battered by it. You've been a little battered by this revelation. And if you continue, I fear, without addressing the shift, the transformation and condition that has occurred to you throughout this period in which Mars has been moving through Scorpio, which is the past month or so. Mars is now at the anuretic final degree of Scorpio. So this is the 29th degree, and we are really feeling the necessity of transformation within us. And this is a call to it, to integrate the information that you have been given, that you have the insight that has come to you, a sudden shock like an earthquake deep within the earth, deep within the ocean, manifesting as a tsunami upon the shore of the mind, of the waking mind. Now we have to look at this and look at the chaos around us and understand where the shift came from. Because in a certain sense, the chaos is always there. It's always there. There is always some level of noise, madness, meaninglessness, distortion, chaos occurring in the world around us. It's our mind that pieces things together into meaningful threads, into the story, the narrative of our existence. And sometimes that becomes frayed. The story gets lost a little bit. And it's not because there's something occurring necessarily in the world around us, even though there is a lot of chaos in the world. But there is often something happening inside of us that needs to be examined, that's calling out to be examined, that is sending this energy through you like a signal, like a siren call. Some flip has been switched and you're getting through the signals of your nervous system to examine this. Whatever it is. Which is now calling for a restructuring. A restructuring of some truly fundamental part of you. I think it's no small fact that the White House East Wing, has been demolished in this time as Mars moves through Scorpio. That's the beginning of a fundamental transformation in the nature of the external world that we have lived in all of our entire lives. There has been an East Wing to the White House. And now, right or wrong, for whatever reason, it's no longer there. And I am simply suggesting that at a very fundamental level, something similar has happened to you at the white ivory cap of your own nervous system. Something has been demoed, and now a restructuring is about to occur. That's all I get. That's what I'm getting. I hope you are able to sit with that and find what it is. And if you do, please tell me. I would love to hear about it down in the comments. You can tell me anything if this resonated with you. I would love to know. I would love to hear from you. I would love to also get your energy through your comments and know who is watching and help attune to that so that I can be of greater help in the future. That is, of course, one fundamental aspect of the Virgo energy, is to be of service. And so this transformation that you are experiencing, if you made it this far, you're feeling it. You know it's happening to you. You wouldn't have hung around. This is perhaps to be of greater service. welcome to it. Welcome to the new world.